Carrie Ann Stout, founder and CEO of Vinco Bar Exam Coaching, and welcome to Vlogmas Day 15. Bar prep, but make it festive. I can't believe it's already day 15. That means there's only 10 more days left. Anyway, in today's video, we are going to be doing a bar exam Christmas essay. I think the title is If Christmas Were the Bar Exam, or If the Bar Exam Were Christmas. And basically, we're going to turn one of the crazy bar exam hypotheticals and give it a Christmas twist. So yes, this will be fun and hopefully funny, but also it is in the style of a real bar exam essay. And I will walk through how to answer it, including, different strategies that you can use to pick up points on the real bar exam. So I hope you enjoy this fun twist on traditional bar prep essays. Okay, so we are going to walk through this essay together. So let me give you a little bit of information about how we're going to do that first. And this is an essay that I have adapted from an essay from the National Conference of Bar Examiners to make Christmassy to fit our Vlogmas theme, because no, I don't have anything better to do with my free time. I will include a link to the actual essay, which is a free essay on the NCBE website. And so you can look through the actual essay as it was. You'll see my edits are very light. I didn't change any of the doctrines or the content of it. And then you'll be able to see the grader's point sheet and all of that. And so what I'm going to do with you now is an exercise that we do with our students all the time at Vinco, where I'm going to live issue spot and outline this essay for you. So I'm going to read through this essay out loud, and I'm going to pause and tell you when I think of something that I might want to write down in my outline. And then when I'm done, I'm going to show you the mini outline that I made when I did this, so you can see what it would look like, and that there's really not that much in an outline. Some people say that they don't have enough time to outline. I would actually argue that people don't have enough time to not outline, because outlines what keep you organized, they're what keep you on topic, and they're what help you maximize the time and space you do have to write your essay. So hopefully part of this exercise is showing you that outlining is really important and doesn't have to be overwhelming. So through this, we'll do, like I said, issue spotting, and then you'll see my outline. And then, like I said, I'll also link to the original essay so you can see all of the information there. Okay, so let's get started. So this is a choice essay, by the way, because that seemed to make the most sense for a Christmas-themed essay. On Christmas Day, a boy who lives in a northern state where 3 to 4 feet of snow typically blankets the ground throughout the winter, creating excellent conditions for snowmobiling, went to his grandmother's house for a big celebration with his extended family. Okay, so the first thing that is jumping out to me here, I don't really know what's going on yet, right? But I see a boy, so I'm thinking about his age. And I am seeing a snowmobile, which I know is like a very dangerous thing. So I might be thinking about like an abnormally dangerous activity, a kid engaging in adult activity. Like those are what's on my mind. I haven't issue spotted yet. The other thing is, to the extent possible, and I forgot because it wasn't all on my screen, you do want to start down here with the calls of the question so that you can get the framework for what you're talking about. So here we have 3 questions about whether the jury could properly find the cousin liable to the boy for his injuries, the landowner to the boy for his injuries, or the woman to the boy for his injuries. So I know from this that it's a torts essay, and I know that I'm specifically looking at the cousin, the landowner, and the woman, and what their liability is. So I would start to set up my outline that way. I'd go 1, 2, 3, cousin, landowner, woman. And I would start taking notes under each of them as I saw information about them come up, right? And I also want to keep in mind any defenses that I may see as well when it asks about liability. That is something to keep in mind. Okay, so far I see something that might have to do with age and something that might have to do with a dangerous activity, but I don't have the specifics yet, so I'm going to keep going. This was a particularly snowy day, and the boy was excited to use his new snowmobile that he received last month on his 12th birthday with his cousins today. Okay, so now we have a little bit more information. We know how old the boy is, and we know he's 12. And I'm starting to think they're telling me that for a reason, right? He's not so young, 4 or 5, 6, that whatever he does in this activity, like he really couldn't have formed a mindset or responsibility around it. They're putting him right at that age where, okay, he's engaging in this dangerous activity. And but he's of an age where he can, appreciate danger and responsibility to a certain degree. So I'm starting to think this will become more important. Let's go on. The boy is an experienced snowmobiler and a member of a club that maintains local snowmobile trails by clearing them of rocks, stumps, and fallen tree limbs that could cause an accident when buried under the snow. Okay, so now I'm pretty sure they're setting me up for that. This is a child engaging in an adult activity. Obviously, someone's going to get hurt. We know the boy's going to get hurt based on the questions. And so I'm starting to think a matter of, is he acting responsibly? Are we going to hold him to the same standard? After a delicious Christmas meal with his family, the boy took his cousin, age 10. Okay, so I see we have another child out on the boy's new snowmobile, which was capable of speeds up to 60 miles per hour. So we're talking about something dangerous here, right? Cars go 60 miles an hour, and we have two children doing this by themselves. The cousin had never been snowmobiling before, so he doesn't have the same experience that his cousin has. The boy and his cousin went snowmobiling on a designated and marked snowmobile trail that follows the perimeter of a rocky forested state park near the grandmother's home. The trail adjoins forested property owned by a private landowner. Neither the boy nor his cousin had previously used this trail. So here I see that they're setting me up for that they were behaving responsibly, right? When I see designated and marked trail, that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing at this point, right? Now I see it's against, right? It joins the private landowner. I know I'm looking out for the landowner's responsibility. So I want to see what that connection is. And I'm also noticing that this is the first time they've used this trail. So far it looks so good, right? It looks like they're acting responsibly. Nothing bad has happened yet, but we know it's coming. The landowner's property is crossed by a private logging trail that intersects the snowmobile trail. The logging trail is not marked or maintained for snowmobiling, and access to it is blocked by a chain approximately 30 inches above ground level, on which a no trespassing sign is displayed. However, on the day in question, both the chain and the sign were covered by snow. So now under landowner, I'm going to write negligence. I'm going to write land premises liability. Immediately when I see no trespassing, when I see that, I know that this is going to become relevant. I don't exactly know what happened yet, but I know that this is going to become relevant. And so that's what I'm thinking of. It could turn into nothing, right? But when I see that no trespassing sign and I see that it was covered in snow, I think that's going to be a key fact. I'm going to write it down, and I'm going to write down what it made me think of. On impulse, the cousin who was driving the snowmobile turned the snowmobile off the designated snowmobile trail and onto the logging trail. All right, so I see two important pieces of information in that paragraph. The first is that the cousin was driving, and this is the cousin who was younger and not experienced. A, and then B, that now, remember before I was saying, okay, they were behaving appropriately, responsibly, but now they're off the trail. The snowmobile immediately struck the submerged chain and crashed. Both the boy and the cousin were thrown from the snowmobile and injured. As a result of the accident, the snowmobile was inoperable. So now under the cousin, I wrote down negligence. I wrote child engaging in an adult activity. And I'm going to go through an analysis of whether the cousin can be held liable based under a theory of negligence, even with his age, because he was engaging with this adult activity. All right, what do we have left? About an hour after the accident, a woman taking a break from her own Christmas celebration saw the boy and his cousin as she was snowmobiling on the snowmobile trail. After the woman returned to her car, she called 911, reported the accident and its location, and then went home to have dessert with her family. Emergency personnel did not reach the boy and his cousin for 2 hours after the woman's departure. No one other than the woman passed the accident site before emergency personnel arrived. And so at this point, the first thing that pops into my head here is, negligence, obviously, but specifically no duty to rescue, right? The woman had no duty. She had no special relationship. She had, she didn't even have to call 911. She was under no obligation to stay with them. She didn't do anything to further their harm. She didn't discourage others from helping them because of her presence. She did a nice thing. She called 911. She didn't go above and beyond, but she doesn't have a legal responsibility to go on beyond. So based on what I see here, I don't see any liability for the woman. The other thing I'm thinking about in all of this that doesn't go to specifically, the cousin, the landowner, or the woman, but kind of goes to all three of them, is what is the boy's own responsibility in this, right? Do we have a comparative fault analysis that we're going to do here as a result of, he knew that it's dangerous to snowmobile. He's an experienced snowmobiler. He knew his cousin didn't have that experience. What role does he play in all of this in terms of maybe like negligent entrustment? So now, as a result of the accident, the boy suffered several broken bones and also suffered injuries from frostbite. So here we have our injury or our damages, which we know is a requirement, an element for negligence. The frostbite injuries could have been avoided had the boy been rescued earlier. That is a little bit of a trap, right? They are trying to make it seem like the woman caused extra injury, but again, no duty, no negligence, no liability. The boy has brought a tort action against the cousin, the landowner, and the woman. And then we saw our questions before, right? What could the jury properly find in terms of liability for each of them and explain? And so I hit on everything, but I want to show you what my outline would have looked like. So this is it. And honestly, because I was typing, I probably wrote more than I would have written if I was just jotting this down on paper, but these are the notes I would have taken, right? For the cousin that I'm going to talk about negligence. I'm going to go through each element: duty, breach, actual cause, proximate cause, damages, right? It's not enough just to say that the cousin was or wasn't negligent. You have to take it each element at a time, right? The cousin had a duty because he breached that duty when he was the actual cause, because he was the proximate cause, because there were damages when, right? He broke his arm, he had the frostbite. So you're always making sure you're matching up those facts to the law. But in the outline, all I'm doing is putting down, what I think the likely outcome is, and then what things I need to make sure to hit on in both my rule and analysis. So those are the things I would have talked about for the cousin, and I would have found that likely he could have been liable. The landowner, and I think this is the biggest part of this response and the hardest part, we have our negligence discussion, but then we also have the landowner premises liability, right? Was he, invitee, licensee, trespasser? So making sure you go through and define those terms. The key fact here was that trespasser sign was not visible at the time. And so where they would have been trespassers for sure, if they hadn't seen it, there may be turned into licensees, which means the landowner would have had to fix hidden dangers that she knew or had reason to know about. So that we have to make sure that we have the standard right, okay? And then if they were a trespasser, we know there's generally no duty to trespassers, but perhaps because they are children, we could have applied the attractive nuisance doctrine. So there was a lot to unpack here for the landowner. But what I wanted to point out here is what's less important is your conclusion. And you'll see that if you go to the NCBA website and look at these actual, unmodified essay, you'll see that they care a little bit less about your conclusion and more that you lay out, what is negligence? Define the terms. How does premises liability fit in? Define invitee, licensee, trespasser. Explain how the sign being hidden can change from one to the other. Explain how there's an exception to the no duty unless attractive nuisance, all of that. Then for the woman, I think this was probably the most straightforward part. No duty to rescue. She didn't increase the harm or stop others from aiding them. So no liability for the woman, right? So for the cousin, likely negligent. For the landowner, The negligence will depend on the classification of the boy and the cousin. And then for the woman, we have no liability. Now, remember, I wanted you to mention, and I issue spotted that we want to talk about what role the boy played, right? Negligent entrustment. He gave his 10-year-old cousin this really dangerous, snowmobile. He knew he didn't know how to use it. He let him drive it. And so is he comparatively at fault? And so you'd want to have that analysis because that could change what damages he's going to get. Maybe he can't recover at all. Maybe he's going to recover less, depending on the jurisdiction. Okay. So like I said, I will link up the actual essay. You can look at all of the details of that. But I hope this did two things, right? I hope this was a great issue spotting exercise for you, but also showed you that outlining doesn't have to be this big, overwhelming thing. Again, this outline is on the longer end of outlines that I make. I often use shorthand for things. It's really just to guide you, maximize your points, and have a more organized essays. So people often ask me to do things like this. So if you enjoyed this, leave a comment and I could do more essays like this. Let me know what kind of topics you want to see. You want to see like, secure transactions or conflicts of law, like things that maybe are a little bit harder. I would be happy to do those if people are interested in having me go through them. So, all right, I will talk to you later. Well, that was a little bit wild, but hopefully still informative. Remember, even though we tried to make that fun and relevant to Vlogmas, those are also real strategies that you can use on the real bar exam. And I hope that you learned something from it and it can help you with your bar prep. So if you want to learn more about Vinco, you can find us at vincoprep.com, or if you are interested in doing a free bar exam consultation with me to find out if you would be a good fit to work with us for coaching, you can email Sheena at info@vincoprep.com and she will hook you up with a free consult. So I will see you tomorrow for the next video.